What is going on, YouTube people? New York Cards and Comics here. We got a little PSA news as they set their sights on a major service that CGC offers that they really still haven't cracked the code on the sports card side of things, and really on cards in general, more on the comic book space. And it feels like PSA is going to beat them to the punch on this to a degree, even though CGC's been doing this for a long, long time. PSA announced this afternoon they are doing a signing event. Now, the person here probably isn't going to garner a lot of interest from my audience. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But just the fact that they are beginning to do this is what I want to focus on here and kind of where this could potentially go. But what PSA is doing is a autograph signing event where you can send your collectible into them. And in this case, Sean, the voice of Goku from Dragon Ball Z, will sign the item. PSA will encapsulate it, mark it authentic, and it'll have some sort of notation saying probably that it was witnessed or that it was a PSA Signature Series thing, or however they're going to spin all this nonsense. It'll have something on there like that, most likely, to denote that this was an in-person signing, so you know 1000% that this was a legitimate item. CGC has been doing this for years. On the comic book side, they have CGC Signature Series. It is extremely successful. Now, obviously, in comics, you're getting more pop culture, artists, actors, a lot of actors through the door to sign comics. Over the past year or two, CGC has been dabbling on the card side of things. They did a McFarlane signing. They did a Jim Lee signing. I think they did a Simone signing. They have an upcoming Gal Gadot signing. And they've sprinkled in a few others here and there on the trading card side of things. They have yet to do any athletes. They have yet to do a ton of actors and actresses. I think Gail's actually the first one, but they have done a smattering of the bigger name artists. But like I said, on the comic side, extremely popular. Now, on the card side, and like looking at this through the lens of PSA and CGC, it gets a little weird because on cards, we have pack pulled autos of a lot of athletes. You could go get a vet auto of your favorite player, in most cases, fairly reasonably priced. You know, I could get a Jose Ramirez auto for 30-40 bucks that's pack pulled, tops authenticated, the whole nine, in probably a decent parallel, maybe a color match, whatever. I can knock that out, no problem. Retired athletes, a little bit of a different story. You know, all-star level athletes, a little bit of a different story. Or like super, no, I'm not talking all-star, like Ohtani, Trout, people like that. A little bit of a different story. That's going to cost a little bit more. There is some appeal to getting an autograph on a specific card. I'll give you a good example of this. Ohtani pack pulled autos are obviously super expensive, but what if you could send in for a signing event, and this will probably cost a fortune, and get the tops now of Ohtani striking out Trout signed together on a joint signing, or maybe two separate signings, who knows? But something like that. The appeal to me for Signature Series stuff has always been the non-sport side of things, because a lot of actors and actresses and pop culture people do not have a lot of pack pulled autos, or it's very difficult to obtain. For example, like Marvel actors, Star Wars actors, etc. That stuff could be extremely limited and can be very pricey. Like Mark Hamill did a in-person autograph signing. This was not for any card company, but at a con, and it'll be $500 to get something signed maybe. Imagine he goes to the PSA offices or wherever they do these, and you could send in Luke Skywalker cards to have him sign. That is something that there's not a lot of those out there. So I think you could cherry pick certain people that would be big hits. I'll give you an example on the sports side, which this would be something interesting to target. And this is going to hit close to home for me. Myles Garrett has no pack pulled autos up until this year. In gold standard, it was his first ever pack pulled auto. For a long time, he never wanted to do autographs. I don't know the exact reason behind it, but he doesn't have any rookie pack pulled autos, nothing. There is like a high school card or college card of him that's autographed. It's extremely limited. So for me, as a Browns fan, if they got Myles Garrett into the building, I think that would be very successful because he does not have a lot of pack pulled autos already, even though he is an established superstar NFL player. Like, imagine being able to send in a bunch of cool Myles Garrett rookie. Like, I would send in him. I have a PSA 10 Myles Garrett Silver from 2017. I would send that in a second. And there's also something to be said to customize it a little bit. When you read into the announcement, you could specify pen color and things like that. So say I sent that 2017 Myles Garrett in, and I specified, please use orange paint pen, because I think that would really pop off that card. And then a lot of times what you'll see with these as well will be upcharges. Now, I don't think you're doing this here, but this is pretty common. You'll see upcharges for, say, inscriptions. You know, he puts dog pound next to it or something. I'll give you a perfect example of this at the recent New York Comic Con, and I'll pull it up here. I have it on my Instagram. Now, this is not on a card, obviously, but I had a Star Wars Black Series figure signed by Ashley Eckstein. Did an in-person signing. It was like $125 for the signature, and then essentially so much per word for the inscription. But they had like base level pricing for her popular ones. I think this was an extra $40 to have her put I'm No Jedi on there. And to me, that was awesome, because now you're making it a little bit unique and a little bit personal to you. This is a very collector focused thing in my mind. Don't get me wrong, you probably flip this stuff too, 100%, but this is a very collector focused thing. I want this specific card signed by this specific athlete in this specific color ink with maybe an inscription, maybe not. You can have a player put like 2017 Rookie of the Year or something like that, whatever. Or a famous quote if it's an actor or actress. But just the fact that you have access to directly sign in, and and I know that there's plenty of companies that do this, but them to then take the item, it's legit, encapsulate it, grade it, etc. Now, for this one, I noticed there is not a grading option on here. It is just encapsulation authentic auto. To me, that felt like a massive miss. I checked with PSA. It does seem to be that is just going to be for this first one or so, and that will be something that they will add going forward. Also, this is using an old school paper form, very Beckett-like of them. I believe this is also a short-term thing until they ramp up the tech side on all this, is the vibe that I got. So the pricing on this specific one for a card is $65. For a jumbo, which is, something a little bit on the larger format, is $90. A Funko, which will be probably pretty popular, is $100. And then you could have the autograph graded for an extra $15. So no also grading the item on this particular one. But I think, like I said, this is probably a little bit of a test market for them to kind of work out the kinks before they kind of continue to roll this thing out. But just the fact that they are beginning to offer this is, I think, the big deal here. Because remember, PSA has cards. A big one here, specifically for the pop culture side, that they have that nobody else does, is Funko Pops. You can laugh all you want. Go to a Comic-Con. Funko Pops are still a big deal, and a lot of people like to have them autographed. Right now, you basically have to have them stickered with a authentication sticker from whoever's doing the signing event and stick it on the back. PSA is the only one that encapsulates them. So you could have a PSA witnessed / authenticated auto in a Funko Pop slab, for lack of a better term, cube, I guess. They're the only ones out there doing something like that. And my favorite thing about these types of events or CGC Signature Series is the fact that the signature is witnessed. Somebody, a representative from the company, is standing over their shoulder while they are signing it. So you 1000% know there's no guesswork, no grader trying to decipher things, that it is a legitimate signature. I'm very curious to see where they go with this. And I think this is also important with them spooling up comic books very soon, because this is something that is very important in the comic book space. So I can see them wanting to kind of get their feet wet with this on the card side, dabble in it a little bit, build things up to have it ready for either when comics release or shortly thereafter, that they have this as another tool in the tool belt going forward. It's also a direct blow at CGC, because this is something that CGC kind of had locked down up to this point, was this service. And in my opinion, it's been something that CGC has been lacking in doing in the card space. They've dabbled. You guys are the master of Signature Series. It's been well over a year, if not longer, that you guys did that first McFarlane signing. I think it's actually almost exactly a year, very close to it. But you've been a card grading company for a while. What is taking so long? Like, you guys should have been the leader in the clubhouse. You should have been rolling out Signature Series events month after month after month on the card side of things, instead of just these little dabbles here and there. You have the foundations for it. You have access to the actors and actresses. You could get access to the athletes, I'm sure, and figure that stuff out. But at least on the pop culture side of things, massive miss, in my opinion, that you guys aren't a huge market leader with this. When I've talked about CGC in the past, you can go back to old videos or even when I interviewed them, I said this is one of the big differentiators that they have that nobody else does. Well, now PSA does. And PSA probably has a boatload of money and marketing power that they can throw behind this thing if they want to, and really blow it up if, once again, they want to, depending on how much power they put behind it. I think this is a really nice service. I think depending on who they get through the door, this could be a pretty big deal. Because like I said, some people's pack pulled stuff is very expensive, even on the sports card side of things. Or it just opens up unique opportunities for, multiple athletes to come in, or maybe a team come in, or whatever the case might be, to have them come in. I know a lot of places have, or a lot of athletes have exclusive deals and stuff like that. So you have to, maneuver through that minutia. Maybe not everyone's going to be able to get through the door. But just the fact that this service exists for the pop culture side of things, it excites me. I'm very curious to see where this goes. On the athlete side of things, I don't know that it's as big of a deal. But on the pop culture side, whether that's movies, TVs, artists, whatever the case might be, voice actors, the whole 9 yards, I think that part is really, really good. So PSA adds another little bullet to their gun, if you will. Takes a direct shot at what CGC should be leading at, but in my opinion, have been dragging their feet on. The grading wars, they never end. Curious for your thoughts and comments on this one. Catch boys and girls on the next one. Peace.